Hi, this is GED teacher Damon Tennant, and in this video, I want to talk about who's actually passing the GED test. This is a very important topic for me to go over, so I'm going to do a quick video to discuss some of the basic statistics. And the reason I'm doing this, I want to give you some insights into why you yourself may be struggling with passing the GED test. So as some of you may know, the last major change of the GED test was in 2002, and then more recently, the test changed in 2014. So in 2002, there was a major change, and in 2014, there was another major change. So let's go ahead and jump into some of the statistics that will help us to understand what has happened in these major changes. So I have a chart here that covers 2015, that covers 2014, and that covers 2013. I have 2013 here because it covers the last year of the last test version. Okay, so if you look here, you look at the legend, and when we work on GED social studies or science or reading problems, this is a skill we use. Know what the chart is about. So the chart up here is showing you test results from 2013 to 2015. The teal is the number of people who took the test. The blue is the number of people who actually passed the test. So let's jump in. In 2013, and this was the previous version, not the current version. In the previous version, you had over 750,000 people taking the GED test. Think about that. Almost 1 million people, 750,000 people took the GED test, and about 450,000 people passed. So almost 2/3 of those passed. Now, some people would take maybe one test and maybe not complete it, but this just covers the people who actually passed the whole test and got their GED certificate. And then the test changed in 2014. And so you can see the dramatic drop in just number of people who took it. So in 2013, you had about 750,000. And then in 2014, you had barely 250,000. You barely had 225,000 people or 250,000 people actually even taking the test. And then here is the stat that really should shake us all up. Look at how many people passed. You had less than 100,000 people actually pass. So one year you have 450,000 people passing. This year you have less than 100,000 people passing. So if you look at that, just say there's 50 states. So on average, only 2,000 people per U.S. state were getting their GED in 2014. So really only 2,000 people were getting their GED in a given state per state in 2014. Wow, that really shows and says something. And then if we go up here and look at 2015, it did get better. More people did take it. But still, so that's 300,000. So here, you're still below 300,000. So you're not even really to a third, or you're not even really halfway to what you did in 2013. So you have a little bit of an increase, and then you have a much better experience in passing, but still only about 140,000 people actually passed the GED test in 2015. And so the data is still being gathered for 16, as I understand it. But again, this is what's going on. And so if you're really struggling with the GED test, do not feel that you are alone. Do not feel that you're doing something, wrong necessarily, because this is a national experience. This is a national experience of adults who are trying to pass this test, and they're really struggling to do it. Now, again, I'm not just sharing this with you to share bad news with you. I also want to share with you a solution. Now, a lot of the reason that people are having this experience, and this shows definitely in my experience in the classroom. In my classroom, so 100%, I would say 10% of my classroom people who came in my class, either online or in person, will come to class and they'd be ready to take the test. I just have to give them some basic things, maybe give them a practice test, maybe give them some basic facts. Maybe they had some misconceptions about the test. They were ready on their own. And these students tended to be, within 5 years of the high school classroom experience. And those 10% were ready. And then the other 90% were people who tended to be 5+ years away from the high school classroom experience. Many cases 10, sometimes 15, sometimes 20. I've worked with people even in their 40s and 50s, and sometimes even their 60s. Actually, I even worked one time with a World War II veteran, a man who at that time was in his late 80s who still wanted to get his GED. Now, so I say all that to say that you need help with this new GED test. It is harder, for sure. If these numbers show you anything, it shows you that it's harder. And one of the things that you need is, in many cases, is that you can't just get that big GED book. You can't just get that big old, 600-page GED book and struggle, on your own. You have to get with the teacher. And this is a solution that I provide. My online GED course will help you get the results that you need. It does it for a few different reasons. Number one, you are not alone. You have an online course that you can go in and post your questions as you're moving through the course so you don't get stuck. This is the number one reason my students have success. Just last week, one of my students was really stuck on the concept of slope. And if you know what slope is, that's m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And they didn't understand that concept. I made a simple 3-minute video explaining that concept, and then they got it, and then 2 weeks later, they were able to go take the test because they just got that basic question that was tripping them up. So number one, you are not alone. Number two, I post new content every week. So you're not just getting this static piece of information that never changes. My content changes every week. I add up a worksheet, a video, if nothing else, just some motivation to say, hey, stay with it. But every week you're getting something from me, and really that reinforces the other top point too. You are not alone. Don't do this on your own. You really need to get a hold of the fact that, why do we have schools? We have schools because people need to be taught person to person. Most people learn person to person. Almost anything you learn in life, even if you learn it initially in a book, at some point you're going to have to get with another person to kind of help teach you and pull you along the way. That's why people in my course have success, because they're still learning from an actual real person. An actual real GED teacher is who I am. So number one, you're not alone. Number two, you get new content. And number three, it's flexible. So once you're in this program, you're in it as long as you need to be. You don't have to enroll. If it turns out to be it's summer and you're busy and you can't study, you can come in the fall. If it turns out that your situation changes in the fall, you can come back in the winter. You can always come back in the course because every week something is happening and you don't lose your enrollment. So you're not alone. You get new content and you get flexibility so you can work on your own terms. And then finally, one thing I'm not going to list here, but that I feel is true, is that there's a sense of community. So when you post a question, or then maybe you see somebody else who's posted a question, then that even again reinforces that whole idea that you are not alone. So that's kind of what we are trying to accomplish in this course, is to create a little bit of community as well, so that you see that, hey, somebody else had a question on that, I have a question on that, and you can see the question be answered, and you don't even need to post your question then. So again, this is why students who I work with are passing this test every single week. Every single week I get emails from someone somewhere in the country saying, hey man, thank you for helping me pass this math. Thank you for helping me to write that extended response. I passed my RLA. Hey, Okay, thank you for helping me to understand balancing chemical equations, because that came up on my science test, and I had to do that. So again, this is GED teacher Damon Tennant. In the description below is the enrollment link, and you should join this course today and pass your GED now.